Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to have SportsGrid NFL insider Adam Caplan back with us here on the show. He's going to be super busy over the next month, traveling all across the country doing his training camp tour, but we're fortunate enough to get him on one of the easier stops right in his backyard, the Philadelphia Eagles. It is great, Adam, to see you again. It's like when I see you here on our network and I see you here on the show, I know it's almost time for football season. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, you're right. It's that time of year. I'm going to be away for a better part of 3 or 4 weeks. As you said, it started with my hometown Eagles in terms of that's the team that's here. And then, of course, I see the Giants and Jets and see your Dolphins later this week in Miami. I look forward to that. But, yeah, it's really been interesting with the Eagles, Craig, because 2 years ago they shocked the world, made the Super Bowl, probably had the best team in the National Football League. They didn't beat the Chiefs. I get it. Didn't happen. I know they were really dejected within the organization, but they took a step back last season after choking that big lead, 10-1. What a great record, best record in the National Football League. Then losing 6 out of 7, and that culminated with 2 coordinators on offense and defense, and really a new look team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think, as always, Howie Roseman very busy on draft day, making all kinds of changes to the team. And you're right, Adam. It's like it's hard to remember every NFL season, but that's the one thing I do remember about the Eagles is thinking halfway through they're probably going to win the Super Bowl or get there, and it was like nowhere close. I was just so stunned at their complete collapse, but they are essentially running it back as far as the coaching staff is concerned. Let's take a look at some of the additions that they've added to the team this year, and the biggest one is the biggest name. But in this day and age, Adam, of the NFL, I mean, if we were doing this 10 years ago, it definitely would be Saquon Barkley. But this day and age with running backs, I don't think it's fair to say that. You probably have a much better read on this team than I do as far as where they're headed. Fantasy purposes, of course, Saquon Barkley is a big name. But what about reality? How do we separate that?
Yeah, so let's look at Barkley. And in Thursday's practice at Lincoln Financial Stadium, Craig, I thought it was really interesting because with Kellen Moore, and I've studied Kellen Moore, who's a new offensive coordinator, and I've talked to people who work with him. The backs catch the football. Tony Pollard caught the ball very well for the Cowboys when Kellen was there. And when you really look at it, Barkley has caught a lot of passes in training camp. Now, we saw this last summer with a different play caller, and Brian Johnson, who's now with Washington, with DeAndre Swift. And Swift wound up not catching a lot of passes in the regular season. But Kellen Moore and running backs, the backs catch the football. So Barkley's look good. But you saw that chart up there. This is a big story with a big guy. This has been like the stunner of their offseason, Greg. Mekhi Becton is not currently lining up at tackle, not left tackle, at right tackle. Though he'd line up earlier in training camp at right tackle. He's been lining up at right guard. He started actually their OTAs after he signed after the draft, Greg. At guard, these guys never played guard in his life. So Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach, who's really, really good, one of the best in the National Football League, he thinks he could play it. I can tell you this without a doubt. If Becton lines up week 1 in San Paulo against the Packers, if he lines up at right guard, they will have the biggest offensive line in NFL history. They'll have 3 guys 6'7" or taller, 3 guys probably 340 or bigger, 1 guy, Jordan Mailata, who's 375, 380. Now, again, let's not run with it here. Tyler Steen was handpicked by the Eagles to play right guard. Unfortunately, he's dealing with an ankle injury, but Becton's been an amazing story, one that no one saw coming. But right now, he's been lining up at guard.
Yeah, his career has gone up and down, constantly in and out, injuries, everything else. Maybe this is the new lease on life with the Eagles. And, the Eagles wasted no time on draft day reshaping that defense, Adam. And look, the offense was capable down the stretch, but the defense just completely fell apart. They drafted a cornerback, a defensive lineman, and an outside linebacker with their first, second, and third round picks, and even took a linebacker in the 5th round as well. I think everyone is familiar with Quentin Mitchell when he was drafted, but educate us, Adam, beyond that, who the impact players were from that draft.
Yeah, and correct, Cooper DeJean, unfortunately, who's their 2nd round pick out of Iowa, could play corner and safety. He suffered a hamstring injury away from the team, so he's on the active non-football injury list. They feel like he could be back in the middle of August here, but him not getting valuable reps under Vic Fangio, their new defensive coordinator, that's a shame because the Eagles had a 1st-round grade on this player, DeJean, and he's a multiple position player. He could also return punts or kicks, really big-time athlete. You mentioned Quinyon Mitchell. Now, this is, again, I get it, it's training camp. You never know what's going to happen in the regular season. We turn to defense. Quinyon Mitchell has been lining up inside a lot. This is not something that he did a lot in college, But to get him on the field early, they've lined him up as a nickel slot corner. He's done a very good job watching him go up against A.J. Brown in practice. It's been kind of surprising what these coaches have done. But again, yes, Nick Sirianni's back, but he's got 2 new coordinators, and it certainly shows.
Yeah, and I think that you mentioned Nick Sirianni, who was the darling of coaches in the NFL just 2 years ago. But in this "What have you done for me lately" sport, as the season collapsed last year and went to an end, there was that pause at the end of the season, Adam, for about a day or two, where we didn't know if Sirianni would be back. Now, I think it's fair to say that Howie Roseman has proven everything that he possibly can in the NFL, so he's going to be making that final decision. They're bringing Sirianni back again. I would ask you, Adam, going into the upcoming NFL season, certainly Saleh with the Jets has pressure too, but Sirianni's got to be up there as far as having to at least not fall apart like they did last year.
Yeah, I would put Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, and Robert Saleh. They all have to prove themselves as coaches. Yes, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, has been to the playoffs all 3 years he's been the head coach. But historic collapse. Doug Peterson, as I said with Burrell, they got to win this division. They had it. The Jaguars choked down the stretch, but he's got pressure on him. You're absolutely right. Nick Sirianni has a ton of pressure on him. And by the way, they've had a good offseason, the Eagles. They've had a lot of new players, as you saw in those charts.
All right, finally, their season win total. Look, the Eagles are going to be really good. I know that. It's not going to be good enough, as you mentioned. They'll probably win 9, 10, 11 games, get to the postseason. But Adam, over on FanDuel, that's where the slant is about 11. I mean, minus 172. Yikes. Like, I don't even know that I'm interested in doing anything like that. I may try to find 11 somewhere else. Do they come close to that, over, under, or does that seem about right to you?
I like the over. 2 years ago, I had them at 14-3. I did get that one right. It's not easy to pick, though, those win totals. I do like slightly the over 10.5 because they are the cream of the crop of that division. And by the way, no one's had a back-to-back divisional championship in the NFC East since 2004 when the Eagles were in the midst of winning 4 divisions in a row.
All right. Thanks, Adam, for coming on. Good luck with the tour. We'll catch up when you get back.